And this is no derby hat. Don't be fooled, okay? If you're like me, you have been spending way too much time in the kitchen.
Delicious.
And I have had enough of that banana bread. So let's do some bourbon baking. I have selected a great pineapple pound cake bourbon recipe just for you because I knew you wanted easy things around your house. And if you are lucky enough to have a nearby bakery or store-bought frozen anything for pound cake. I always like to keep frozen pound cake in my freezer for just such an occasion and when I have guests over. But if you don't feel like making it, just pull it out of your freezer and then you slice it pretty thick because as you notice, I'm a bit of a generous host and I sure do like to give a generous helping. And then all you're gonna need, which I know you have on hand, is bourbon. Notice this bourbon that I put here is very important because I paired it with the pineapple. Now you might say, well, how do you pair with pineapple? Well, I wanted to pick a bourbon that actually had a little bit of a peppery note because pineapple actually has some peppery notes to it. A taint bit of citrus note, and it doesn't matter what bourbon you use as long as it has a couple of that citrusy peppery note. And also you don't want a high proof bourbon. You want a little bit lower, let's say under 100 proof, because you're gonna eventually put this in the oven. And so you wanna be at, a little bit tame, if you will. Now, on the pineapple side, here's the good news. You can go to the grocery and sometimes you can actually buy it already kind of pre-sliced into spears. If you can, do it. It will save you time in the kitchen. Or if you like to slice your own pineapple, all you have to do is lay it on its side and cut the top off of it, and then shear all of the sides of it and cut it into nice semi-even spears. The last ingredient is, of course, brown sugar. And I just adore the brown sugar because that is the sweetest part of this recipe, aside from the bourbon. And brown sugar notes, of course, you're always going to find in bourbon for its sweetness and caramelization. And you'll be amazed when we put this in the oven and paint this with my brown sugar paste, how it caramelizes the sugar and it makes it even more beautiful to eat. So all you need to do is take your bourbon and pour it in just about a 1/4 cup. If you'd like a 1/2 cup, no problem here. I will never tell anybody to use less bourbon. But the trick is put about a cup of brown sugar in because all you want to do is to form what I call a paste. Because if you make it really too liquid, it will not adhere to the pineapple. And for our next step, we're gonna paint the pineapple. So all you need is just a simple Pyrex dish, a little bit of pineapple juice, your pineapple spears that you worked very hard to slice, and then of course our brown sugar bourbon glaze, because the glaze is the magic that makes this dessert spectacular. Now, all I want to do with the pineapple juice is just lay a little bit at the bottom of the pan, just so nothing sticks too much. There's going to be enough juice that materializes in the pan during the cooking process, but I like to sweeten the pot a bit. Putting that aside, we just take one pineapple spear at a time, and it doesn't have to be fancy. Just lay it any way that it'll fit. This particular dish is quite small, so I'm not making a huge amount, but I'm making enough to satisfy my family anyway. And see how that fits so nicely in one dish? Of course, giving this another little stir, because again, see how this is almost like a glaze. It makes it so thick and yummy. And all we're gonna do first is lay on top just as much of that thickness that we can. Pull in the sugar. I can smell the bourbon and smell the sugar combo together, and it's spectacular. Lay over here, and then with any kind of brush that you have, kitchen utensil, or you can have a spreader knife of some sort, take any more of that glaze and let's paint. See how I'm making sure that I coat even the edges with the mixture, just so it's nice and even. I don't want to neglect any part of this pineapple. I want it fully immersed in this brown sugar bourbon because that's what makes it so rich and glossy. All right, one more to go, and I think we're ready. Easy enough. I set the oven to 175. Again, you do not need a high proof bourbon. All you're going to do is to sit this and let it roast a little bit for at least 20 minutes, or until you start to see the edges of the pineapple actually start to shrink a little bit. That's how you'll know it's ready, because we want that pineapple nice and tender, so when I lay it across the pound cake, I can cut it with a fork, that I won't need a knife at all to cut the pineapple. So you're gonna bake it for probably about 20 minutes until it becomes tender, or until the desired consistency that you'd like. You ready? So they've just come out of the oven. Look how nice and caramelized the pineapple is with that brown bourbon sugar. And notice how they've shrunk a little bit. That's how I always know that they're pretty much done. And then you can poke at them just to see how tender they are. I have laid my pound cake in equal pieces on each side, and how beautiful just to be able to take those nice big chunks of pineapple, because that's what you want. You want the big chunks of pineapple that your guests can enjoy on top of their pound cake. Just insert it right in the middle. See how that's nice, stands up. Very. And why did I leave the middle blank? Because I never like to throw away any part of the pineapple. And this is no derby hat. Don't be fooled, okay? This is going to be simply the decor right in the middle for your guests. So, the Triple P, Peggy's Pineapple Pound Cake. Enjoy.